So I think it's time to talk about something just a little bit more serious, guys. So we have an article here from Bounding Into Comics, and the headline that I saw, made me think about a lot of things. And the fact is, this topic I agree and disagree with on certain things, and I'll get into it later on in the video. But what I don't agree with is this nonsense that these people feel like they kind of own your kids, right? So we have this actor, the Star Trek actor, LeVar Burton, right? Threatens to physically assault members of Moms for Liberty who don't want small children reading sexually explicit material in school library. Now, that's a headline that I can never disagree with, right? Obviously, that any normal person should not be able to disagree with this headline about not wanting kids to read this stuff. You guys remember I did videos about all of this stuff during Pride Month. I did a ton of videos, which is why my channel got shadow banned in the first place way back when, a couple months ago. But, regardless of whether or not the channel gets shadow banned again, I still have to talk about this because it's very important. So let's get into this article, guys, from Bounding Into Comics. But of course, before we do, if you are new here, just consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it, and like the video to push us out into the YouTube algorithm. So this is obviously the actor right here who said what he said, LeVar Burton, and to be very clear, I'm not surprised, okay? Like, I'm very much not surprised that this is the person who said what he said. And the funny thing is, these actors, they all want to be activists. I don't know why. I don't know why these actors want to be activists. And what's interesting to me is it's a lot of older actors, right? It's a lot of older actors that maybe don't have as much prominence anymore. Maybe they don't have as much relevance anymore. They need to find something to kind of latch onto because they don't have their career too much anymore, right? So they definitely are latching on to activism in order to push whatever message or stay relevant or whatever the case may be. Or maybe they're a gun for hire, so to speak, right? So they're hired by certain parties to push a certain message because that party knows that this person has at least some level of prominence that they can influence certain people to sway a certain way. I really do think that happens, and it's well known that certain people take donations in order to push out certain messages. Now, with this particular actor, this is the reason why I wanted to bring it up. So I have an issue with book banning, okay? Book banning, for me, there's certain books that absolutely should not be in certain areas, right? And in this like scenario, the sexually explicit books should not be in little kids' schools. I mean, that is just freaking ridiculous. Like, why would you even, some of these books that I've seen would just blow your mind, literally. And no pun intended, it would literally blow your mind what's in some of these books and who's allowed to read them. The fact that, I don't even want to get into it because it's that ridiculous, but where I disagree is there's certain books that really should not be banned because it makes absolutely no sense. And the reason for it to be banned, it's very clear that it's a power grab. And I'll give you a perfect example of a situation that we'll get into the article so that you guys can kind of read on. But if you guys remember, there was a lot of bad things that were happening in schools, right? I'm not going to say what it is because for obvious YouTube problems, everything like that. There was a lot of bad things that were happening in schools. So the Conservative Party or the Republican Party thought it was a great thing for them in certain states to ban books, right, that were related to those kind of altercations. One of which was actually Assassination Classroom, the manga that I actually like a lot, Assassination Classroom, that if anybody just took 5 seconds to read it, they would realize that it's not what you would think just based off of the name. But yes, they banned Assassination Classroom from certain states because the Republican Party thought that it was not a good idea to have those books due to what was going on in the country at the time. But what that shows me is that there's a lack of research going into these book bans, at least some of them anyway. Sexually explicit books in kids schools, there's no research to be had. You know what I mean? There's no research to be had. It should never be in there. But when you have something like Assassination Classroom being banned because it's being used to try to push some sort of message regarding the conservative movement and what they were trying to do with the overall ban after the whole bad things that were happening in schools, I just think that was not the smartest thing to do. Not because I'm an anime and manga fan, but because that just shows me that you really didn't read what you're banning in the first place. Like, how do you know you should ban it unless you actually read it and see what's happening in those books? But that's just my little argument about book banning. But in this scenario, I agree with it 1,000,000%. So it says LeVar Burton, known for his role as Geordi LaForge in Star Trek and presenting the children's show Reading Rainbow on PBS Kids, recently threatened to physically assault members of Moms of Liberty. According to Publishers Weekly, LeVar Burton hosted the National Book Awards and opened the ceremony by stating, "Before we get going, are there any Moms for Liberty in the house? No? Good. Then hands will not need to be thrown tonight." You know his ass will not throw hands with anybody. You know that for a fact. This guy is completely full of shit. It's obviously just something to try to to get people riled up about. But the fact that he even threatened Moms for Liberty, like, bro, you are such a cuck. You need to stop. It's unclear why Burton threatened Moms for Liberty members, but Burton did recently give an interview with Esquire that was published the same day his remarks were given at the National Book Awards. In the interview, he was asked, in all your advocacy work, do you hear anything from young people affected by book bans? He responded, here's the thing. I think it's a responsibility of the adults in the room to advocate for those kids, because in many cases, they don't know what they're missing. And they won't know what they're missing because they won't get it, because these people are in some cases being successful. Bro, what? Okay, that would be fine if you're talking about books that have to do with like math, finances, things of that nature. You're talking about literal fucking sex books, bro. Like that's what you're talking about. You're talking about sex books in a kid's class, and that you're saying something along, this is creepy as fuck. You're saying something along the lines of like, I think it's a responsibility of the adults in the room to advocate for those kids, because in many cases they don't know what they're missing. They don't know what they're missing. Bro, the context of that statement is wild. These kids don't know what they're missing by not reading a porno book, basically. Like, what? Oh my God. Oh my God. I don't even know what to say after that. He then added, one of the things I'm most thrilled, choice of words, about is hardly any of the candidates backed by Moms of Liberty won their races. There are bright spots, but these are people who would rather children not know the truth. Those kids will never know what they're missing, but it's our job to stand up for them, to be their voices and their advocates. That's what being an elder in this society means to me. Oh my God. This man is literally trying to say that he is thrilled about being able to provide sex books to kids. When I tell you choice of words is very important, it is very important. And my God, he is failing on every single avenue. It says, according to the Moms of Liberty website, what the organization opposes is sexually explicit material in school libraries. Their website notes that they oppose books in school libraries that have graphics showing sex acts, not in a medical educational way, extreme profanity, detailed descriptions of masturbation, oral, anal, vaginal sex, forced oral sex, etc., etc., etc. All that good stuff that kids should not be seeing. Speaking with Newsweek last November, Moms of Liberty co-founder Tiffany Justice told the outlet, we're not looking to ban any books. She then referenced calls for the Supreme Court Justice Amy Coney Barrett books to be canceled. There are people that don't want the book to be published. That's banning books. Our moms are saying, write the book, publish the book, print the book, sell the book wherever you like to sell it, but just don't put it in a public school library if it has any explicit sexual content in it. The organization also responded to Burton's threat, writing on X, American moms weep as a childhood favorite reading Rainbow calls for physical attacks against us because we are protecting the innocence of our children. They added, LeVar Burton, why have you sunk so low, threatening physical violence against women? Burton is no stranger to insane comments and threats such as this one. Back in 2021, he claimed that cancel culture was misnamed and should instead be called consequence culture. During an appearance on The View, Burton was asked about the Dr. Seuss estate discontinuing 6 of their books. He said, it's interesting because I just for the Seuss Foundation did a voiceover for a video that they have put together to remind us that Dr. Seuss is more than simply a company that decided to put a couple of books on the shelf to take them out of that rotation. And that's basically it, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, this guy is clearly insane. The fact is, he is way too excited to want to talk about sex with kids. It is very, very, very awkward for me to even film a video about this stuff. So just imagine his face. Look how excited he looks. Just imagine his face when he gets to showcase sex books to kids and then he tells you that they don't know what they're missing. Like, oh my God, I can't get over that statement, man. I can't get over it. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.